Hi, welcome to the Chazz Palminteri Show. This is our 5th podcast, and if you like what you hear, please subscribe and just click that button, subscribe, and you'll check out everything we have here. I mean, it's like a master class that's funny. I mean, who's doing that? Nobody. I'm doing that. A master class that's funny. Okay, so today we're going to talk about directing. Directing. What makes a great director? And the way I could do that is I could talk about some of the directors that I've worked with. Bob De Niro, Woody Allen, let me see, some Billy Friedkin, William Friedkin, great director. So many great directors. Ricky Tognazzi in Italy, Italian director that I work with. I did a movie called Excellent Cadavers. He's a wonderful director. So let's talk about what makes a great director for those of you out there who are interested in directing. Well, I think what makes a great director is the way you collaborate with other people. Is bringing people with you instead of against you. You know, there's an old Italian saying, the fish stinks from the head down. And when the director is in a bad mood, and when he is doesn't have a good vibe on the set, everything is bad. Everything. I'm telling you. I mean, everybody's walking on eggshells. Everybody's nervous. People are yelling. There's pressure. The actors feel it. Everybody feels it. So you, as the director, have to really set the bar. Set the tone. And you don't have to be like this mad genius. Some directors yell a lot. I don't agree with that. Some directors maybe are too nice. I've heard that before, and I don't agree with that either. I think if you're smart and you inspire your crew, you inspire them to be part of the film. That's really the whole thing. They have to be part of the film. You know, it says a film by and your name. But in reality, it's not really just by you. There's the writer, the guy who wrote the words. Thank you very much. You know, am I right? The words, please. A funny story once. I go into these. There was a writer friend of mine, and they kept saying, no, we can't afford you. We can't afford you to come back on the set, because they wanted him to do rewrites. But they didn't want to pay him. They were like, oh, just look it over. He says, hey, they said, well, there's not much money in the budget. So you know what he said to them? He said, excuse me, you have somebody for the wardrobe? You have somebody for the makeup? You have somebody for the hair? He goes, how about the words? Are the words important? Don't you think the words are important? And finally they agreed, and they flew him out, and he started rewriting some of the scenes. But it's amazing the way they treat writers sometimes. And I don't want to get off on that right now, but because we're talking about directing. Am I right, Michael? That's for
please.
That's for another episode when we talk about just writing. Right now we're talking about directing. So a really great director inspires the actors. I'll give you Robert De Niro, who's a great example of that. Obviously, Bob directed A Bronx Tale. He also directed The Good Shepherd. 2 wonderful movies, and excuse me for saying that, but I was in Bronx Tale and I wrote it. But listen, a bad director could mess up a great script. A great director can make a bad script great. That's impossible. Can't do it. But a bad director can get a great script and screw it up. Okay? And Bob did a fantastic job on A Bronx Tale. Again, what made him so great as a director was his commitment to everything, to detail. He wanted to see everything. the wardrobe, what everybody was going to look like, their hair, the makeup. Do you know? Because I know, because I was right next to him all the time. He wanted me to be there, obviously, because it was my life story. And he just wanted my opinion. Obviously, in the end, he always made his own choice. We saw every extra. Every extra. He had to approve. The extras. That very rarely ever happens. But he wanted to see that. We studied music from that time for almost a year before we started shooting. He wanted to see every place, every location. And I remember we were in Brooklyn. And who was the production? Oh, my God, he's such a brilliant Will. If you could look it up, sure. The production guy, because he was so great and what a great person. We were in Brooklyn, and on our way back, we were there for 2 hours. 2 hours we got stuck on our way back to Manhattan, to Tribeca. And Bob said, well, did we see everything? And he turned around, the set designer, and said, well, oh, man, I forgot one more thing. I forgot to show you this, Bob. And Bob said, well, where is it? And he tells him. And it's back where we just came from. 2.5 hours stuck in traffic, way out in Brooklyn. Bob just turned around and said, well, let's go. We had to get back in the car, drove back over the bridge into traffic to see that place. And you know what? That was the place that Bob loved. We used that one. That was the one where I think you saw the overhead bridge underneath where it separated the black neighborhood from the Italian neighborhood. So you never know. Who was the set designer?
Was it Wynn Thomas?
Wynn Thomas. That's the guy. I had to get his name because he's absolutely brilliant, that guy. He captured everything in Bronx Tale. Wynn Thomas. And, you have to have great people like that to get the essence. A great set designer, great people all around you. And it's your job as a director to do that. It's your job. And believe me, when you direct a play or a movie, you got 1,000 friends. They all come out of the woodwork. Hey, Chazz, come on, put me in a movie. I said, hey, you got to be good. You got to be right for the part. And if you are, come in to read like everybody else. Oh, why just can't you put me in? And that's what they say. What are we talking about here? First of all, I had a guy walk in, and he read, and he wasn't good. And I love this guy. He was a great guy. And he was like, oh, man, I can't. I said, listen, I can't put you in because I'd be doing myself a disservice, and I'm doing you a disservice. Because you're going to look bad, and you're never going to work again. Okay? And I'm going to look bad because I got the wrong person in the part. So as a director, you have to do the right thing. Listen, I cut my father out of Bronx Tale. My father. And he was great. He was driving the bus because my father was the bus driver. And in one scene, he came right before Bob. And I just said, no. I was waiting for my father. And he just waved to me and kept going. And we thought that would be funny. Because he was my real father. But it made the scene too long and we had to cut it out. Okay?
I have a question for you.
Sure, go ahead.
When you show up to a set, how do you know it's going to be bad? How do you know it's a bad director?
Well, as soon as you get there, people start talking right away. Everybody say, oh, listen, don't say nothing, be quiet. And all the actors are looking at you like, have you worked yet, Chazz? And I go, no. They go, oh, boy, okay. Well, it's like every man from himself. It's called save your own ass. Because the director doesn't know what he's talking about. So you just have to save your own ass so you don't look foolish. That's really what it comes down to. So basically, that's it. And you could feel it. Like you could just sense it. Something's not right. But when you get there and you meet the director and he's got a smile on his face, a smile, doesn't matter what language you speak. Everybody understands a smile, guys. So when you direct a movie or a play or anything, commercial, engage the cast and make them feel part of it. Don't worry about your damn ego. Okay? If you are secure in who you are, that's all that matters. If someone, I remember I directed a film, Noel, and I was doing it, and the first AD said to me, Chazz, I know you're shooting over there on that window, but if you shoot on this window, the sun's going to be coming down there in a little while, and you could see the setting sun. It might be a nice shot. And I just looked at that, and I went, forget what I just said. Switch over to that window. Now, did that make me a bad person? Did that make me untalented? No, of course not. What am I protecting my movie from? A great idea? Are you kidding? So, and it's like what I said on other podcasts, and I'll repeat it again because it's worth repeating. It takes just as much talent to recognize a great idea as it is to come up with it yourself. Remember that. If you know who you are in your own skin, take other ideas. It's okay. That's what it makes a great artist. Film is very collaborative. Everything is collaborative with film. And in Bronx Tale, there was a scene, we might have said this, but I'll tell you again because it's worth mentioning. When we couldn't come up with this one thing, when the gangster was coming out of the bar, and I came up with something that wasn't that great. Bob came up with something that wasn't that great. And the guy flipping hamburgers just said to us, he goes, hey, Bob, you know these guys. He goes, you know that thing I hear you talking about? He goes, I got a great idea for that. And we just looked at each other and said, okay, what is it? He said, remember the neighborhood when they used to say, what number's leading? You know, the numbers, what number's leading? And the guy would always go, yeah, the one's leading, the two's leading. He goes, why don't you do that? So I said, you know what? I said, that's a great idea. And Bob looked at me and said, yeah, that's a great idea. So, and we put it in the movie. And if you see the movie, he's walking out and they go, hey, what number's leading? And he goes, the 2, the 1. And it was so funny. So let me make sure these phones are off.
Have you ever witnessed a fight amongst the crew on a set?
No. The actual crew fighting each other? No.
Never? Oh, wow.
No, you'll get a fight between the director and the crew.
Yeah. Has a set ever been shut down by a...
Oh, yeah. Never a set that I've been on has it ever been shut down, but I've heard stories about it where the director is fighting with the actor and the actor just won't do it. He just won't do it. And then they get into a fight and they shut it down. I mean, I'll give you an example. Marlon Brando, I mean, it's a famous story. I'm not talking out of school here. Marlon Brando was on a movie called The Score, and he was heavy at the time. So he told the director, he said, listen, don't shoot me just shoot me from the waist, the high waist down. Don't shoot me below. And the director said, well, I can't do that. I have to shoot you. You know, this is a movie. I can't be locked into that. I got to show you in a master, walking away, walking in. And Brando said to him, he said, I'm telling you, don't shoot me like that. Okay? So Brando comes out. They do the scene. Brando sees the dailies the next day. He shot him from the waist down. Brando don't say nothing, right? Next day comes. Brando comes out of the trailer. He's got no pants on. No pants. Refuses to put his pants on. So he shoots the scene without his pants. Now you can't shoot him below the waist because Brando didn't put his pants on. And that became a real horror story. And I think the set was shut down for a little while until they straightened that out. So, I mean, but that's a true story, guys. So make the make everyone feel good. That's your job. And each person's different. Maybe the set designer is more sensitive. Maybe the grip guy, you could speak a little, hurry up, come on. Everybody's got their own personality. You have to find everyone. Now, let's talk about the actors. Each actor has a personality. Everyone does the work differently. So some actors want to hear, praise. They want to say, oh, you were great. Oh, that was fantastic. That was great. Some actors, you don't have to say nothing to them. I'm the type of actor you don't have to say nothing to me. I just do it. If I don't hear anything, then I know it's good. If I hear something, then when they talk to you, then maybe something's wrong. That's the way I feel. And that's much like Woody Allen. We'll jump into Woody's too. I mean, Woody Allen does not talk to you. Never does he talk to the actors. In fact, when Woody starts talking to you, that's a bad sign. You're going to get fired. He's legendary for that, of firing people because if he has to talk to you and tell you how to play the part, that's it. You're gone. You're gone. No. So we were doing a scene in Bullets Over Broadway, John Cusack and I, who's such a brilliant actor. Him and I were just sitting by the bar, and it's a very long scene. And if you know Woody, he doesn't cut. He doesn't use coverage. Very rarely. He does sometimes. But in Bullets, he used it very rarely. So he makes the camera do the cutting. In other words, you do the scene, and he'll move the camera closer, come around the side. So you got to know your lines, and you got to do it straight through. It's like doing a play, right? So John and I always commented that Woody never talks to us. And we laughed about it. And we said, oh, that's okay. It's a good thing he doesn't. So we're in the scene. We're at the bar, and he's asking me, when did you get into this? I told him about my father. I stabbed this guy with an ice pick. It's a whole crazy scene. It's a wonderful written scene. And just before we did it, Woody says, wait a minute. And he comes over to us. He goes, I want to talk to you. And John and I are like, what's up, right? He walks over and goes, gets his watch and goes like this. Hey, guys, the Knicks are on tonight at 8 o'clock. Speed it up. That's what he said. He said the New York Knicks were on playing basketball. Speed it up. And we just looked at each other. That was his direction. He wanted to get back to watch the Knicks. But you know what? It was great direct. It was a great note because it was a very long scene, and it just reminded us not to drag it on and just say it. Just say it. Just let it out faster. Speed it up. Don't milk and make every line a meal. Okay? And that was his way of doing that. And it was great. And it came out great, the scene. So you have to know how to speak to the actors.
How was it directing? You said you directed Robin Williams. How was that?
Oh, Robin Williams, God rest his soul, was just brilliant. And he just, Robin, talk about coming up with ideas. Robin just comes up with ideas left and right, and and some of them were brilliant. I would say, yeah, do that. Do that, yes. Like I remember he was doing the scene sitting on the bench, and the guy was looking over because he was going to kill himself by the water, and Robin said, I think it's more powerful if I stand right next to him on the ledge. And I was like, yeah, come on down. And he did it, and it was great. Wow. It was much better. And Susan Sarandon, Penelope Cruz was on the movie, and Paul Walker and Alan Arkin.
So how did you approach each actor differently?
Well, each actor, I approached them with respect because they were all pros, and they listened to me, And if they had a great idea and I liked it, I listened to them. I mean, these are people that are very experienced, and if I liked their idea, I did it. If I didn't like it, I explained why I didn't like it, you see. That's the difference. You just can't go, no, No, no. Forget that idea. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. No. I was in a movie. I don't want to mention his name. I only had one bad experience with a director. One. In 60 movies, I had one. And he was a great director in his time. But then maybe later on, I don't know, he lost sight of the collaboration of making a movie, I think. And should I say his name now? Well, he's gone. He's dead.
We can bleep it if you want later.
We can bleep it later?
Yeah.
All right. So, and I don't, no, I don't want, I feel bad.
All right, then
I feel bad.
don't say his name.
He has a family, and he was a brilliant director. But on this movie that I did with him, wow, it was just, and I wrote the movie. And I hired him. Okay? And it was a movie that I did, I don't know, a few years after Bronx Tale, I think. Anyway, so there was a scene where at the end of the movie, I got to tell you because you're going to probably look it up anyway. It was Paul Mazursky, who made some great movies. And at the end of the movie, Cher, and we were having problems with him through the whole movie. I mean, he wouldn't let us in the editing room. He wouldn't let us look at any data. It was a nightmare. So insecure like you could not believe. And at the end of the movie, there's this one scene where Cher's driving away, and she stops, and I say to her, hey, I'll see you around. And she smiles at me, and I smile at her, and I go, yeah, see you around. And Cher was just wonderful in it, and she drives off. So I turned to De Niro, who was producing it, and I said, Bob, and even Cher, I said it to her. I said, why don't I just, it might have been Cher's idea. Now that I'm thinking about it, I got to be honest about it. Hold on.
Oh, no.
It might have been Cher's idea. I know it was one of us. I don't remember exactly whose idea was it. It was either mine or Cher's, where she drives away and she stops and she turns to me and smiles. And I kind of trot down and hop in the car and I go off with her. So I said, Bob, we're here. Why don't we shoot it? We could do it. It's both ways. Whatever one we like, we do it. We put it in the movie. No, he says to us. I said, why? It won't work. I said, but you don't know until you feel the whole movie through and then see it. We're right here. There's no sense in not doing it. It takes a second. No. Don't want it. And I said to him, have you ever looked at something and then later on realized that you were wrong? And he looks at me right in the eyes and says, no. Oh. I said, you were never wrong? I said, there's things that I thought would work that they didn't work. And there's things that I said it will never work, and it worked. In the words of Bob De Niro, nobody's that smart. Nobody. Okay? And he refused, just like that. And it wasn't a good experience. It just wasn't. And I thought the movie came out good. I thought it could have came out better. But you know what? All actors and writers, they always blame everybody else. Who knows? It is what it is.
It's crazy. It's all fueled by insecurity and ego.
A lot of it is fueled by insecurity. And it starts with the director. The director he's the general. He's the captain of the ship. So I say to all the directors out there, give it off. Give it off. Don't put that ego on you. Let it go. Turn to the DP and say, hey, man, you were right about that. That was a great shot. Look at the writer and said, hey, that was a great scene you wrote. There's a great book. I'm gonna do I'm gonna do a podcast just on that book alone. And the name of the book is by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a great book. How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it's a fantastic book, And I recommend everyone out there should read it. Really. What is the number one thing in making it in life? What? They did a study on this. They said, what quality is the number one quality where a person could make it? What? Perseverance, being on time, studying. What is the number one quality? Empathy. What? You know what it was? Adaptability. Adaptability. How you adapt to situations was the number one quality in making it. Not just as a director, in life, in everything. What is that old saying? You know, I mean, it's not an old saying, but I've heard it. It's not my saying, but somebody said life is 90% what happens to you and 10% how you react to it, or something like that. I think it's that.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, or is it 10% what happens to you? No. Yeah, I think it's 90% what happens to you and 10% how you react to it.
I know one thing you said that was fascinating to me is you recommend young directors watch certain movies with the sound off.
Oh yeah. I talked about that and I speak a lot, and I say this to young directors, but I got to be honest with you, I do it myself. If you want to be a director, which is really great, watch movies with the sound off, everything off. Just watch the camera. Watch the camera move, and you'll get great ideas about that. Really good ideas about, oh, I like that shot. I don't like that shot. Get a pencil and paper. Make notes. Make notes. And listen to other directors. Speak to them. I'm trying to think who told me this. I don't remember what director, so I don't want to give credit to someone and then I find out it was someone else who said it. But a director told me that study the first frame of every cut and the last frame of every cut, of how it blends. And I never forgot that. I said, okay, this is the last frame. This is going to be the next thing you see on screen. How does that fit? How does that work? Yeah, I see that. Yeah. Okay. And if you talk to Martin Scorsese, Marty said that he steals all the time. And this is Martin Scorsese. You know, you'll see that scene in On the Waterfront, which happens to be his favorite movie, and it is my favorite movie, where Brando is with the fence. There's the fence there, and he's talking to Eva Marie Saint. It's a great scene. And that inspired Marty to do the scene when De Niro meets the blonde, Kathy Moriarty, who was so great in that movie. Vicky, she's playing Vicky, where he meets her by the fence, and he puts his finger in there, holds her, says hi. That inspired him about that. And he talks about shots that Alfred Hitchcock inspired him. So if you're a director, watch other movies. Watch as many movies as you can see. I hear people say things, Tarantino steals a lot from a lot of people. Yeah, but he makes it his own. He can get an idea from something, from another movie, but Quentin makes it his own. He has his own voice. You think it's easy to make great movies like that? Why don't everybody go steal and do it? No, it's not. If you want to steal something, a way something is shot, but you make it your own. You see. Directing, yes.
Sorry, I have a question.
No, go ahead.
I've always wondered, what is the relationship between the director and the location scout? Because I feel like that's the heartblood of the film.
Yes, look, the director, like I was saying before with Win Thomas, he wasn't. He's not. He's the set designer. But the main thing about location scouting is you got to get them out there, and you got to tell them, I want to see everything. People sometimes are lazy. Did you show me everything? We call it the what do you call that? A SIGH. When you have a person who's working for you and you say something to them, And you go, look, could you go there and make sure this thing is right? And they go, if they sigh, fired. Sigh twice, you give them one sigh, then you tell them, you can't sigh like that. You make me feel like I can't ask you anything, okay? It's the sigh. Like, I got to go do this now. You want to be a success? You don't sigh. In anything you're doing. I don't care what kind of work. What did I say before? Adaptability. Adaptability. Okay? Woody Allen, Robert De Niro, Billy Freakin, Lee Tamahara, Ricky Tanyatsky. I could go on and on. Some wonderful directors I worked with. Dito Montiel, A Guide to Recognizing Your Saints. Great director. I never heard anybody say this to me before. And I've done so many movies. He would block the scene, right? And then he would whisper to one person that, forget the blocking, you roam. I was like, you're the roamer in the scene. And it was weird. We blocked it, then all of a sudden one person would start to roam around it. And I've never seen that before. I never even heard of that before. But what it did was, there was a spontaneity about it. Spontaneity? I hope I said it right.
Spontaneity?
Yeah, spontaneity, yeah. Sometimes my Bronx accent comes out. So, and it was like, because you never knew who the Roma was. And then once I went, wait a minute, the Roma's me. You know, and it was just different. So you learn. You learn from other directors, and you write that down. Billy Freakin, who directed The Exorcist and French Connection, and he directed me in Jade. He has a sense of lenses, of the camera moving. That's just, I never seen anybody like that. You know, he just has he kind of like sees the movie in his head, you know?
And how often is that the case, you feel? Is that a rare?
Well, some directors see the movie in their head. You know, Alfred Hitchcock never looked in the lens. Alfred Hitchcock never looked in the lens, they said, of a camera. He just said, do this, do that, do this, do that. He would storyboard a lot. Some people like to storyboard a lot. Wayne Kramer, another great director. I did Running Scared with him. Wayne would like to storyboard everything, a lot. Well, mainly the big stuff, but he would storyboard a lot. He would have the whole movie storyboarded, like amazing. I was like, wow, look at this. Some directors, myself, I don't storyboard. I would only storyboard a real complicated scene, an action scene. Maybe I would do that. I've done that. But as far as storyboarding the whole movie, no. First of all, I can't draw. And I just have no concept of that. I see the movie, I could feel it, and then when I get the actors on the set and we start blocking, and it just happens. But every director is different. So I think, and I'll leave you with this to all the directors, the main point in directing is you are the general. You have to galvanize your army and make them love you and willing to go into battle with you. Because making a movie is incredibly hard when everything is perfect. Do you imagine making it when everybody's walking on eggshells and everybody's on each other's nerves? It's unbearable. A great producer once told me a movie is like a big boulder going down a hill. Once it starts to go, you cannot stop it. So you might as well make the journey pleasant. Okay? This is Chazz Palminteri on directing. It's your masterclass with some funny stories. So don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next week.